Hi, you are listening to Raw Organism, a flowcast where I question everything I think I know and don't know. Like, why do I do the things I do? How can I unlearn to relearn? It's about some personal stories, low moments, funny adventures, nutrition, mental and physical health. Anyways, big questions like, how the hell do I do this thing called life? Stay tuned. Hi, everyone. My name is Michele, and this is my first Flowcast episode. Yes, I said Flowcast, not podcast, okay? You might ask, what is a Flowcast, right? I came up with this term because I want this space to be less structured than a traditional podcast by simply focusing on going with the flow. Following thoughts, feelings, experiences as they naturally come. It is more of a personal exploration, like storytelling, self-reflecting name, right? It's more intimate, more fluid, maybe also more spontaneous. I think about it as like a conversation you have with yourself out loud, or, when you're with your friends, going from one subject to another. I listen to a lot of podcasts because it is popular now, right? But I find now that it is more about bringing the top or best person of a certain field, for religion, food, nutrition, etc., whatever. And I guess I could call this a vlog, but it is not like a video content. And I still want to have people talk with me, just people around me, like friends, family, or something. Like, what about everyone else who is or isn't a specialist? You know what I mean? Like, people live, people lives, sorry, are interesting. And so I think that's where I'm kind of making it slightly different in a sense that, like, yeah, I just, conversations with friends and what's going on in every people's life. I feel like everyone has very interesting conversations, that we don't get to see online. But then again, online you can see a lot of things if you search. So I feel like you can find anything online, really. You know what I mean? And I don't know why I'm doing this, to be honest. I feel like I want to have a space where I can maybe talk out loud, because I feel like sometimes I think a lot in my head, and it is always better to speak out loud, even when you do affirmations, right? When you speak it and you can hear it, it makes a big difference. And I find that sometimes I want to talk to myself, but maybe because it's all in my head, like, I talk less. And the fact that I hear myself I'm much more present in the act of talking and correcting maybe whatever it is I'm saying, or like fixing words I'm using, but yeah. So this is what I'm gonna do. This is my space. If no one is listening, well, too bad. And if everyone is listening, well, great. Hi, welcome. But yeah, so you know what? Let me introduce myself. So like I said, my name is Michele. In French, it's Michele. And I am French and Gabonese. So French from France, from my dad. And yeah, my dad is white. Yeah, he's white. White. Snow White. Lol. And sorry, but I feel like I'm gonna have like a fun time with myself. The moments I'm with myself, I'm also funny. Alone, I can be here like in my living room and dance like a crazy person with headphones. And we all do this, okay? So yeah. And my mom is from Gabon, Central Africa, on the coast. Underneath Cameroon, and to the left of like Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, that area. And yeah, so it's a French speaking country as well, because the French has been everywhere.
The French people are just everywhere. Okay, so we've been everywhere. Half of me has been around the world. So yeah, so we speak French. I speak French, and English, I guess. And I was born there. I was born in Gabon, and then I lived in the main city. Like I was born in the main city, Libreville, and then we moved to Port-Gentil because of my dad's job. And then we moved to Gamba. It's also in Gabon. And yeah, so I've lived in Gabon like for the first 8 years of my life. And then we moved to the Netherlands, and I lived in Den Haag or The Hague for 8 years because of my dad's job. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I think I was just, no, it was fun. We went to the French school, and I don't even want to talk about that school because I hated that school. And then after the 8 years, we moved again because of my dad's job to Democratic Republic of Congo in Lubumbashi, in the south, Katanga region. Went there, we stayed for 11 months again because of my dad's job. And then we had to move quite fast, actually, 3 years to Togo. That's where my stepmom is from. Okay, yeah. So my parents got a divorce when I was 5. Okay, so when we moved to the Netherlands, like my dad was with my stepmom at that point. Other story. And yeah, so I stayed 3 years in Togo, graduated grade 12, and then I studied after that 3 years in Paris, graphic design, got my bachelor's. I didn't want to do a master's. And then, yeah, that's when I moved to LA for 6 months as I was applying for Emily Carr here in Vancouver, BC, because this is where I live now, Canada, Rain City, where it rains literally 8, 9, 10 months out of the year, I don't know why I came here, This shit is hard. No, it literally, I've been here since 2016, and I feel like it's the first year where the weather doesn't fuck with my mind. Like, it takes a while to get used to, especially when you grew up around like the sun. And yeah, I was in the Netherlands. It's kind of the same weather as here, to be honest. It's like the weather has its period, okay? And I'm a woman, so no shade. But yeah, no, it's hard to get used to. But on the other hand, like, even though the city is small and it feels like there's nothing to do except for nature things, like Vancouver in summer is probably the best place to be. It's really beautiful. But anyways, so yeah, I came here in 2016, and I'm here now. So yeah, this is my life. I don't know if I'm gonna stay. I don't know where I'm gonna leave. I have a partner right now named Ashley. So we'll see what we do. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I think the main reason why I'm here. So I came here and I studied photography. Okay, there you go. Now we can move on. Okay. So I think the main reason I wanted to start this is because I've recently decided to change my diet. Quite a bit, I must say. It redefined the way I think of the idea of like who I am, like, the who I am question. And I did a juicing cleanse or detox in this year, so 2023 at the time of recording, end of the year, December. But yeah, so I did like a juicing or like a juice fast back in June for like 21 days. And that first juicing experience, like, I was filming little videos for my Instagram and I really loved it. But the thing is, even though I was not spending time doing those videos and I was trying to do it as fast as I could, because I don't like doing things for Instagram or social media just takes so much time, like the little videos and stuff, right? So I'm like, I want to do it to kind of share my experience, but at the same time, I don't want to spend too much time doing it because I want to enjoy the free time I have while I'm juicing, right? This is a moment where when you cleanse, you detox, you kind of want to take a pause, like a breath of fresh air, like relax a little bit. And I felt like it made me more busy, and I didn't really like that. So the second time I did it back in September, I was like, I'm not gonna do it because I just really want to enjoy the experience. And I did. Like, I had so much free time, I could just relax and do other things, right? And when you start eating back, it's like, oh my god, now I have to do all this and that and that and that, so yeah, I figured doing like a Flowcast or a vocal kind of like a recordings is easier for me, and it would get me to talk, and I like it, I like it. So yeah, I think we tend to that's my computer. I hope you didn't hear that, but if you did, whatever. Okay, so I think we tend to believe, we tend to be what am I trying to say? I think we tend to believe that, or at least, no, I don't want to say we in general. Like, this is more my thought process right now. It's like, I thought that maybe your personality is kind of almost like a fixed one. Like, you have you kind of know who you are, how you would act in certain circumstances, right? And before I started juicing, I researched a lot. Like, at that moment, I came through like a lot of videos, a lot of information, like different doctors from North America, South America, Europe, Asia, all talking about the same things, right? And those doctors don't know each other necessarily, right? They know of certain ones. But what I've come to realize after I did the juicing is that, wow, my personality kind of like shifted almost with the food. Like, I was calmer. And it's easy to believe that, oh, maybe it's also something I worked towards. Like, how can I explain this so it makes some type of sense? While juicing and after juicing with the different diet, I just noticed I was calmer, and obviously I had more energy physically. But it's just, I think my question around that time was, can food change my personality almost? You know what I mean? Because I was calmer and I was working towards, like getting a grip on my emotions while experiencing certain things, right? Okay, be more patient for certain things, or learn to not get things, not take things too personal, and blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And at that moment, while I was juicing, I was really thinking about, oh my God, like, I feel calmer, I feel less stressed, I feel more relaxed, I feel like every day is beautiful. And it was during the summer, so every day was beautiful, you know what I mean? But it was really like, oh, it feels like my personality, my mind is changing, right? So is it the food and the juicing, or is it me? And can food and what I take change my behavior, and through researching and through hearing a lot of people talking about like healing in general, it doesn't matter if it's through juicing or just eating from a different diet, a lot of people usually describe this like, yeah, it's like I became calmer. It's like I didn't have road rage anymore. I was in my car just like, oh, whatever. I felt more love for people. And so that question I have, I think, or I had comes from there. It's like, okay, well, maybe food and what you take in actually changes you. And so when are you really you? Because I can say right now that, oh, this is me, right? Maybe I'm a little impatient. I can get upset quite fast, not gonna lie. Yeah. I'm patient, but don't push my buttons because they're easy to push. You know what I mean? So, yeah. While my partner, for example, like it takes a little bit, but if she gets upset, like she gets probably more upset than me. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing. The people who maintain, like, who stay calm all the time, they take the stuff, they take the shit, right? The day they get upset, you better run. Whereas me, it's like, well, not anymore. Now I'm better at it, but I'm short fused. You know what I mean? But I think that has to do with the way maybe the way I grew up around my dad or like my family. But that's another story as well. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, let's move on. This was kind of like the question I had, right? Yeah, food kind of showed me that it holds like an extreme power that I believe we are really unaware of because of lack of education, right? And it's not really our faults. Are we in parts responsible? Yes, as an adult, I think it is our responsibility to kind of really reevaluate what we have been taught and see what it is from what is not, right? It's our job to question our education. And when we do so, we'll often discover that, yeah, some things are different or some things we didn't get like taught, once you take a moment and you take a step back and you're not distracted, you really take a moment to pause and think and ask yourself questions. Usually you'll find a lot of you'll find out you have a lot of questions, and when you look for the answers, sometimes or a lot of times they're actually going to be very different than what people taught you or what you thought you knew, right? And I think it's important to make up your own thoughts, your own mind, with your adult mind, I think a lot of times what I think about is, I think before my beliefs my beliefs were not mine. You know what I mean? I feel like it was more, I need to do certain things because that's what I've been taught to do, right? And then after a while, I started really questioning, like, okay, well, what do I want to do? And if I want to do that, am I doing it for me? Is it for my family? Who am I? Do I want to be this person or do I not want to be this person? Okay, how can I change this, right? Okay, and I learned about this and that and that. Is it true? Like, is it really working like this? Is it really what happened? Okay, do I choose to believe in that, or do I research and see if there's actually something else, right? I think this is, as a grown-up, I think a lot of people fail to realize, but we see it a lot in relationships usually, because relationships with friends, family, it usually comes up. We're more emotional, right? And whenever we're emotional, it's kind of like our kid or young self that is taking over whenever we react emotionally to certain things, right? And so I think a lot of times we fail to realize that a lot of our behaviors come or are influenced by our childhood. And we think it's really us, like this is me, right? But it might not be you as your adult self. It might just be your younger self kind of reacting to this thing. And at least for me, I realized a lot of that, especially in my relationship. I think relationships trigger it more than friendship. And when you're in a relationship, you might face those things where it's like, oh my God, the way you react to certain situations, like it's like you can't help it. It's like your emotional self is like your young self is coming at the forefront, and you think it's you as an adult, right? But when you really peel back the layers, oftentimes you'll find out that, oh, it comes from these types of feelings I was feeling when I was 8 or 9, or or from things you had observed when you were young that you barely remember, but maybe there's something you like a specific moment or emotion you remember that's still impacting you today. And I think that's why it's very important to be self-aware and to ask yourself questions, do therapy, or look for just gaining more knowledge about yourself. And when I say yourself, I mean like people in general, like me, others, right? And I also want to point out that we are always distracted. Let's be honest. We're afraid to spend time alone doing absolutely nothing, but looking at the ceiling in like can you see yourself just staring at the ceiling for an hour and doing nothing and just breathing there on your bed, right? A lot of people, it's scary. No one wants to do this. Hell, like sometimes when I try to do this, I'm like, it's like I don't want to do it. It's like it's not asking me for anything. But the thought of just laying there on my bed, looking at the ceiling and doing nothing, I'm like, what? No, it seems almost so painful. It feels so painful. But the thing is, physically, it's not. Even mentally, it's not. It's just the idea of silence is scary because we've been used with social media, with music. Now everyone has their earpods, right? Even at the gym, or you walk in the street, like everyone's staring at their phones or their earphones. We're always listening to something, some kind of distraction, right? Because when you sit in your thoughts and you're in quietude, usually that's when the things you're trying to avoid come in. And everyone, whether knowingly or unknowingly, is trying to avoid that, because then you don't want to have to face those like questions, those hard feelings, maybe those traumas, right? It just feels like you want to put it aside. But unfortunately, we all have to deal with it, because guess what? If we don't deal with it when we're young, it doesn't go anywhere. It always comes back when you're 40, when you're 50, when you're 60. And when it comes back, it's like very hard to avoid, because then it just eats you up. Like it's like your sick. It just wants to come out. All that trauma, all that pain, whatever it is you've experienced, like it's just gonna come out and you cannot avoid it anymore. But then at that point, it's painful because you're older, you have habits, right? And you can't run away, and it feels more painful. Whereas when you try to face your fears, or face these emotions, or face the trauma, or if you want to correct it, it's always better when you're younger, because it's gonna take time to do the work, right? And the way I always thought about it is that I want, as an adult towards myself, it's my responsibility to just be a good person, a good human being to myself first, and then others, right? I don't want to feel anger towards the little things. I don't want to be upset towards the little things. I want to just be still. I want to learn to be still. I want to learn to not let anything affect me, and to be able to just observe a situation from afar. That's what I want, right? And I know it takes a while to get there, because you have to learn to do that, because we've never learned to do that, right? Everything has to have a reaction. That's how we are kind of raised to be. And that's not what I want. You know what I mean? So So, yeah, so I read in an old book that the seven doctors are fasting, air, water, sunlight, exercise, food, and mind. And I love that. I think we can add to these seven doctors of nature that there are doctors of maybe, I don't know, humanity, which are purpose, maybe belonging and community. Um, self love. I really thought I loved myself, but I've come to realize I didn't really like. Um, yeah, the juicing really changed my perspective on a lot of things. I obviously will share my experience on my diet change, the whys, the causes, symptoms, etc. I especially will make sure to talk about hypothyroidism, as this is something I had, or like dealt with. Not sure what to say because I never like to claim it and say I have. But one thing that came out of this whole experience was just realizing that my body loves me more than anyone on this planet, more than my parents, more than my partner. Like my body, our bodies just continuously loves us. It's like a dog. The dog is loyal to the cats. Like the cats, they can be independent. You don't know if they fuck with you or they don't. Even when they do, they have moments where they don't fuck with you. You know what I mean? And I have two cats here, so I know. And boy, these cats have been traumatized, especially the male. Like we've had him for 3 years now. He keeps sometimes still. He runs as if I'm gonna whoop his ass, and I'm not. Why the hell would I whoop his ass? I never whooped his ass, but he's still traumatized by I don't know what the hell happened. You know what I mean? Anyways, I'm going on a tangent, but yeah, I realized one thing, that everything my body is doing is always to protect me. From what? From diseases and like death, pains, trauma, etc. What you often hear people say as a complaint is, why is my body doing this to me? Like, I truly and sincerely believe that the question should be, and honestly, I think really 100% of the time, and you know what, I'm not gonna say 100 because they never even do that on labels. Okay, I'm gonna take 96%. 96% of the time, the question should be, why am I doing this to my body? When we get sick or we get like a dis-ease, we get a pain, our bodies are not trying to purposely pain us or make us suffer, right? It is trying to tell us something, like the warning lights in our cars, except with the car, we go to the garage, and if you fail to go, the problem will just remain and the car will simply start not functioning well until it dies, right? Because you never once went to the garage to change the oil, change or clean the brakes, check the engine, etc. But it's also very easy to read like the car, because it gives you the signal of exactly what's going on. And so kind of what to fix or repair. When you go to the garage, you say, hey, my check engine light, it must be the engine. So exactly, the car is telling you what to check exactly, because that's how they engineered it, right? Whereas the body, it's not as clear. Whenever we have symptoms, we don't really know what it could be, I think we truly fail to understand our bodies and its purpose, like, what it is meant to do, and why it would make us feel pain. And that can be the question, like, why would your body make you feel pain? And it's probably to tell you that, hey, there's something you should pay attention to and maybe fix or repair or make better, right? We cannot be inside and see what is happening, but with these signs, it is a way for the body to kind of communicate with us. Otherwise, we would not ever get diagnosed with anything. We'd think we're well at all time and just drop dead. Yeah, we would just drop dead, right? So before we drop dead, the body is like, okay, let me give you some signals. Let me give you some pain here. Let me give you some pain there. Let me make your stomach uncomfortable. Maybe you get migraines all the time. Maybe you get, I don't know, you get like eczema all the time, severe eczema, severe acne, or acne in general. It doesn't even have to be severe, you know. But all this to say, I simply realized that all my body was doing was to try to tell me something. It first made me feel joint and muscle pains, then very, very fatigued. Then it gave me mood swings, which, with feeling depressed or feelings of depression. Right? I started having less frequent bowel movements. My skin was drier. I had hair breakage all of a sudden. And then slowly more PMS, I thought it was kind of normal in the beginning. In some ways, we are taught to kind of normalize a lot of these things, right? In some ways, it is normal until it becomes just too regular or too much. And just like we think it is normal that when you grow old, you experience muscle pains or hot flashes or loss of memory because we associate it with getting old. But from what I read and listen to, and people who are like older in age giving their testimonies and talking about it, depending on their diet, right? A lot of them who live very healthy lives, like they don't experience any of this. And I have, for example, my mom, right? She's in her very early 60s, and she told me one time recently, actually, she was like, yeah, I don't know, my colleagues at work, they talk about having hot flashes, etc. And I look at them and I'm like, talking about it is it's normal, it's something you should experience. I don't experience any of this. I don't know what they're talking about because I don't have that shit, I don't experience any hot flashes. Like I don't have any joint pain. I feel great in my body. I don't experience anything that has to do with menopause. And I'm like, great, because it means your body is doing great, right? And my mom is very spiritual. She's very connected to her body. And that's another story. Like her mom, so my grandma used to be like a herbalist, actually, a herbal healer, a spiritual healer in Gabon. And so she's very connected to her body in that way. Like whenever she has like a knee pain or something like this, she massages wherever the pain is, and she talks out loud to her body, to her knee. If it's her knee, I have to wake up every day and go to work because that's what I need to do, right? I need the money to afford this and that. I need to make sure this is paid, etc. And you need to do better. You need to be well. Otherwise, I cannot do the things you need me to do, or I cannot do the things you need me to take care of. And so you need to heal. You need to feel better anyways. And after 2-3 days, the pain is gone, no creams, no pills, no whatsoever. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think we're taught to normalize that. Oh, growing old means I will have joint pains, etc. Yeah, because that's what majority of the people experience. Does that mean it's normal? I don't think so. And why do people experience it? Maybe a majority of the people experience it because majority of the people eat a diet that today, unfortunately, I believe, it's my personal opinion, is actually not good, right? And I personally now for sure, but I learned through this experience that unless you've experienced it for yourself, something, you cannot just sit there and say, oh yeah, that's bullshit, because it's easy. And I'm going to be real. I don't like that shit. I don't like when people are like coming to me and say, oh, no, it doesn't work. It's not like that. I'm like, you haven't experienced it. I have. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be the same experience for you. You know what I mean? But don't come and talk from a place where you have no idea what it does, because until you experience something, the truth is, the fact is, you do not know. And it's always easy to be the one talking when you have not experienced anything. But no one wants to go and do the work of testing, putting yourself through an experience like for 3 months or 4 months or 5 or 6 months, even a year, of maybe switching your diet, because 2 weeks honestly is nothing, right? So no one is like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to change my diet completely for 3 months. No one wants to do that. You want to know why? Because it means you have to change your whole routine. And we are habitual creatures. We love routine, right? But routine is also not good for your brain, and it's not good for your body. Your body needs to be stressed in some type of way, and your brain needs to, have something new, as little as changing the location where you go shopping. It keeps your brain active, right? Doing a puzzle, it keeps your brain active, right? So comfort literally is killing us, right? So no one wants to take it upon themselves to maybe say, okay, for 3 months, this person or these people are saying it's good. I cannot say if it's good or not because I have not yet experienced it. So you know what? I'm going to test myself. I'm going to do this for 3 months and see what's the benefit from me, and then from that place, then I can go out and say, hey, it didn't work for me. I don't believe it works. Or I can say, yeah, it actually worked, and I'm surprised because I was not expecting that. You know what I mean? But until you have experienced this, then I'm sorry, but no one can say shit. You know what I mean? Because it's very different. Like, we can all claim we like, believing is very different than the truth. When you know the truth, you don't need to believe. When you believe, it means you don't really know what's true or not. But then again, the question is there such a thing as a truth? You know what I mean? I don't think so. I think we're so many people, we all experience different realities, right? Because we all have different life experiences, and experiences shape your perception of things, right? And perception creates reality. And it is true. I think his name is not his real name, but on Instagram, Alkaline Jungle. I love his lives because honestly, they can be very long, and it's always funny because he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck. If you ever watch his live videos, sometimes he really doesn't give a fuck. He says what he says. He's like very himself, and I love that. You know what I mean? And oftentimes I think it says that, yeah, whoever controls the information controls your reality, or controls your perception of things, and it is true because you're influenced by literally everything that's around you. And I don't think we know that. I think we want to think we're in control. But we really don't realize that everything has an impact on you, like things you can't even see, like microwaves, different people's energy, images, the things you touch, the clothes you wear, the textures, right? If there are chemicals in the air that you can't even see, all this affects you. But I don't think we know because we can't see it. Then I think there's this thing where because we can't see it, we want to think there's nothing that's really affecting us, and unless it's something that we can see. So yeah, it's all very tricky. But anyways, I believe that I do understand where food is your fuel kind of comes from, because we all need air, food, or nutrients, and water to live, right? And Because of that, it is only fair to assume that poor breathing obviously will have an effect on your body, right? Because of that, it is also fair to assume that food will either make you feel good or bad, depending on what you eat, right? And then again, we need water, and lack of sufficient amount of water will affect you. You'll be dehydrated, right? So we know this, and yet we still trick ourselves to believe that eating a pastry is okay and won't hurt us, when we also know that it's the equivalent of eating like a glass full of white sugar cubes, because there's literally nothing in a pastry that is good for us, right? The white flour is ultra refined, so refined that it lost all its nutrients, and they have to re-add vitamins and nutrients after they removed it, because of the processes to refine it, right? And then there's sugar. I mean, you know, there's no fiber at all, so it's like you're shooting yourself, literally. And when I say yourself, I mean myself too, shit, because I was there, and sometimes I'm still gonna get a pastry, you know what I mean? But the difference is now I understand what it's gonna do to me, and I understand how it's going to impact me after, physically and mentally, and then I decide if I want to pursue in taking the pastry or not. I think that's the big difference, that now how it totally shifted the way I think when I go grocery shopping, or when I want to kind of take something that's not as healthy. It's like, okay, well, I am fully aware that it's unhealthy. Before, I wasn't aware. I was aware that it was unhealthy, but I didn't really know how it would impact me, because I didn't really feel it in my body. Like, I was digesting it, and there was no necessarily like stomach ache, whatever, because that's just my body was used to it. It doesn't mean it's right, but my body was used to it, right? Because that's what I was giving it on a regular. And so that's what I mean when I talk about you have to experience it for yourself, is because oftentimes after you do a cleanse or a detox, when you eat something like this that's ultra refined or ultra processed, your body will immediately react to it. Like, I know if I get coffee, I'll get a headache or a migraine. It'll be very faint, but it'll be enough to make me like, oh, fuck this day. Like, it's there. It's in the back of my head. Like, I feel it's there, right? I know that if I'm now gonna eat white rice, I know it's gonna fuck up my stomach. I won't be able to sleep. I know that if I get a croissant an hour after now, for the whole day, I'm going to have mucus coming out of my nose, just wet, clear mucus. Just my nose will be running the whole day. And then the next morning, it'll be gone. But now I know this because, okay, I used to have all these things before, it didn't happen, but now that my body is cleaner, I feel those things more. And because I eat less as well, I am able to tell what is affecting me immediately after I eat it, right? And now that I know that a lot of the diseases we actually have are caused due to a high amount of acidosis or acidity in the body, and that creates mucus. And when the mucus obviously cannot stay in your body, so it has to come out. And so now I know, okay, I ate the croissant, and now the mucus, that's like acid, because the flour, white flour and butter is not, it forms acidity. So now my body is like, no, this is not good for you. Okay, so let me give you like a runny nose, so all that shit comes out. And then it comes out, and now I reflect back, and I'm like, okay, I understand why it did that, right? So that's what I mean. Like, until you play with yourself and then you experiment, right? You do a little bit of research and you start seeing how food impacts you or what you do impacts you. Then you get to play and you get to understand and learn yourself better. But most importantly, learn how your body communicates with you. And I think I love that a lot. And that's why I think now I know myself better. And I'm not done. I don't think no one ever knows themselves truly, right? You never know how you're going to react to certain things until it happens. Because I can tell you, hey, there's a shooting right now. I'm going to go fight the person with the gun. Meanwhile, the day it happens, I'm dropping down or I'm running away. I'm not even taking my partner. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I really don't know. No one can know until the day of it happens, and then you reflect back after that moment and you're like, damn, I really thought I was going to do this. Lo and behold, I did not do that. I did something totally opposite. So what does it say about me? Now I know what I would do. Maybe I'm scared. Okay, Ben, well, now maybe I should learn to not be scared and work on being more courageous. You know what I mean? You don't know until you experience something. And that's just the truth. You know what I mean? So yeah. So now I can say that I love my body, definitely. I love myself and I love my body more because now I understand it. I know approximately how food works, and there is such a thing as food combining. I don't think we also want to believe that there's a science behind food, but it's like science. There's a whole science behind food. And yes, there is such a thing as proper combination of food so that you actually digest better. So all this is interesting, and these are probably things that I am going to talk about. Yeah, that was kind of like the introduction. I might have gone on a few tangents, but this is a Flowcast. Okay, whatever. But yeah. So yeah, it's nighttime here. It feels kind of great, and honestly, I have to go get my partner from work very soon. She ends work at 8 p.m. and it's not far from home, so it's nighttime around here. It's winter time, and people are crazy in this town. Sometimes I feel like things are getting weirder here in some ways. Everyone is getting just crazier and crazier. But yeah, so I am the most amazing, greatest partner. And wait, let me take a sip because my throat is dry. But yeah, all right. I wish you an amazing evening, day, or whatever you're doing right now. I hope everything goes well. And if I was alone for all these things, well, Michele, have a great evening. Yeah, I need to stretch a little bit, do some breathing exercises, and wax. I need to wax. Yeah, because I wax myself. You know what I mean? Anyways, you don't need to know that, but I'm sharing because I'm just talking, So, yeah, I wish you well, and I guess I will see you soon. Thank you for listening, and bye.
Good morning, good day, good evening, or good night.